So, why words matter is in each of my sessions, you will hear within the 60-meter mark, and you'll hear that 3 times. And that's an activation within the individual. So, standing in the Costco line all the way back to the back of the building, and you're bouncing, you have received a Reiki activation, and anyone within that 60-meter mark is receiving. You're generating it knowingly, unknowingly, and being that the light and love that you are, the unique life, light, and love which you are, why you came here, matters and makes a difference. And that's why being present just heals you and yourself. I am always fascinated when I'm out and about who walks into that 60-meter mark and then who runs.
Well, and it's, one of the things that has become clear to me in my own journey, and just through the last, yeah, through my own journey, and especially with Dragonfly, is healing is contagious, right? And so I tried for many, many years, and I pause to say that I am a very capable person. There is not too much that I can't do if I decide I'm going to do it. Um, but one thing that I couldn't do was save somebody else. And if I could have saved somebody else, then my first husband would still be here. It was certainly not through lack of trying, both on my side and, he was happy to kind of advocate that responsibility of keeping him alive to me. So you cannot save anybody. All you can do is work on yourself, save yourself, and model what it looks like. Inspire the people around you. Not actively, just by working on your own stuff, by being authentically you. Like you don't need to put on a performance. You don't need to be inspirational or profound. You just need to be authentic. And every time you give yourself permission, you empower yourself to be your authentic self, it makes it easier for everybody around you to be their authentic self. You know, I, yeah. Um,
Absolutely.
but going back to this session, I am exceedingly blessed to spend every Wednesday morning with Margaret Mary. I love Wednesdays for that reason. And sometimes we
Happy
have
hump
things,
day.
happy hump day. Some days we have things that we clearly need to talk about, but a lot of times it's kind of a check-in for both of us. And I just want to pause to encourage you all out there, especially the Reiki masters who are working on other people. It's really important that you find at least one person, another Reiki master to regularly meet and share energy with and ideas. And it's self-care, whether you know it or not. Um, and that's, Dragonfly has brought so many blessings to my life, but the opportunity to regularly meet with other people who are interested in this, who speak this language, um, and yeah, it's really important. And I know Margaret Mary meets with a couple of different practitioners, and I get to meet with a bunch of you guys. So it is, and in fact, if one of the things that we're going to do, and the energy literally just told me this right now, if you are somebody that wants to be matched up with somebody, if you don't have somebody, email me and we will see what the energy lines out there. And that's not a money thing. Like no, that's an exchange of energy between two practitioners. So it's not Dragonfly getting a cut of anything. Um, so in our last meet, now I don't know if it was our last, no, it wasn't last meeting, the meeting before that. Margaret Mary was very good at correcting me when I spoke. So I said something to the effect of, for this event, I hope it happens again next year. And she said, lose the hope. It is going to happen next year. And I was actually going to name this session Abandon All Hope, but I thought that it might give off the wrong message. Um, But words matter. And not just, well, there's two parts of that for me. And me and Margaret Mary are going to go back and forth. So, Margaret Mary, by all means, you know how much I like to talk. Feel free to jump in anytime. Um, and
100%.
yeah, and also I'll try to keep an eye on the comments. Because this is more of a free exchange. So we're gonna have a talk. I'm gonna try to keep an eye on the time. Uh, but because we are not as constrained, because afterward is the lunch break, so I'm okay if we go in a little bit late to that. If people have to leave because they have other commitments, of course, there's never any ill, perception there. So do what you need to do, folks. And everything will be sent out afterwards as well. So we're going to go through and have a little bit of a discussion about some key ideas, some of the insights that me and Margaret Mary have found on our journey. And then I'm going to lead you through a meditation to help shake loose some of those words that are holding us back, those passive limiting words. Um, and then we can come out and you can go about your day. If you have questions, I'm happy to stay and answer those questions if you want to share. I find what's most effective for me is when I come out of a meditation, before I do anything, I write and I do free writing. And I find that is, for me, that took my meditation and amplified it by about 200% as far as clarity and messages, um, because that's the way my brain works. So whatever feels right for you. And if you've never done automatic writing before, don't, I remember the first time I heard it, I thought like, oh, that sounds really complicated. It really isn't. Free writing is maybe a better word for it. Just write. Don't worry about sentence structure, grammar. Just let it pour out without a second thought. And then review it. Um, so with that little kind of overview, Margaret Mary, did you want to start with an invocation to do this, or I leave it up to your guidance?
We'll start with an invocation and being mindful that the previous session's energy is still here and
Mm.
in existence because it works with each of you individually and at the rate and pace that is best for you. And for this session, why words matter, we begin by bringing our hands together in Gasho, which is two hands coming together at the heart energy center. The left hand is Reiki releasing the past and anger. The right hand is Reiki releasing the future and worry, for all we have is here and now. And in the space between our palms, we Reiki receive our Reiki activation through the pure intention of gratitude. Bring your hands up to Reijiho, which is at your third eye, the bridge of your nose, and an indication that you are ready to begin by connecting your head and your heart. Please kindly bring your hands back down to Gasha at your heart energy center. Keo Dakiwa. I Kuruna Shinpa Suna Kansha Shia Kyo Hagame Hitoni Shinsetsuni. So those are the Reiki precepts in Japanese and why words matter. I had to find another way because when I listened to the energy of the words, they were very militant. So I recreated them in a way that energetically aligned with me. And I learned many other Reiki masters have done that as well. So what Ko Dakiwa for today only? Ukuruna, anger not. Shinpa Sunang, worry not. Kansha Shia, be grateful. Yo Hagame, be diligent in your duties. Hito ni Shinsetsuni, be kind to others. through my training, I have also learned to say them with love and kindness and not the staccato energy of commands where they originally came from. And so, be present to how those words resonate in your body. And it is totally okay for you to listen to yourself and change them accordingly for you. I had to change them all the way to I am kind, calm, compassion. I am grateful and humble. I am intentional in thought, in word, in deed. So that's how words can matter and make a difference. And I use both in my invocations and in my closings because this is the incorporation of all of me. So,
Mm.
with those words and that mindset, breathe deeply, open your heart, and Reiki receive for Reiki resting in the awareness of your breath transforms your life into a living meditation. And now the circle is complete. Thank you for being here and hearing this.
Thank you, Margaret Mary. I think that's it's such a great point that, with all of this stuff, it depends on where you're at with your journey. And so there's going to be times where you hear things and you think that is completely Looney Tunes, or I have no idea what any of those words mean. That's okay. Take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. It might someday, and it might not. Don't worry about it. Take what feels right and ignore the rest. Uh, and it's okay, like, question. It's okay to question. This isn't, a lot of us were raised in kind of more traditional Christian families where, you repeat what you're told. You don't question. Question is a sign that you don't have faith. Like I like to tell the story about how when I was a kid, they created a whole different youth group for me and my best friend because we asked too many questions, right? And we were sowing seeds of, you know, anyway, they were worried it was going to
Culturally
catch,
created self and corporal punishment. I'm right
right?
there with you.
Yeah, and I was the illegitimate child in a very, very, Baptist town, right? Like there wasn't a bunch of us running around. Um, so it is okay to question, and when you hear something that doesn't resonate with you, I would encourage you not to immediately reject it. One of the things that happened early in my Reiki journey is Pam Allen LeBlanc, who I was working with at the time, said to me, Amanda, your worth isn't tied to how much you produce. And I thought, what a stupid thing to say. Of course it is. And that's where I was at. And so thankfully, she didn't challenge me on it because I think I would have just kind of rooted in deeper. She was like, oh, okay, that's what you think. You're allowed to think that. And she just moved on. And so then I started twisting it around in my brain. Um, so I say all that just to keep an open mind. It's okay to be skeptical. We ask that you be polite, but skeptics are welcome. Um, Yeah, and so I guess one of the things that I was kind of sitting this morning in the energy thinking about because we haven't, this isn't carefully planned out. We're just going with the flow and, letting the
Reiki's
energy
leading this. This is
Reiki's
all
leading
channeled.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the things that came through to me that I was supposed to share is we are all like inside, we all have our own algorithm. Our brain has an algorithm. And so it will look for more of the same and it will look for evidence to support whatever your internal story is.
What the
So,
thinker thinks, the seeker seeks.
exactly. And so, and I look at my own journey, if I look and I think, like, my body let me down, I have terminal cancer. How unfortunate for me. I'm getting sick, I'm dying, I'm all those things. I'm a victim. This isn't fair. That's what my brain will scan my whole life for and look for examples of. And it will amplify those examples because it knows that that's consistent with my internal dialogue. And it's interesting to note, and I'm not the person to explain all the science behind it. Margaret Mary would certainly know more than me. Um, but that chain of thoughts actually secretes a different a different set of chemicals in your body that speeds up inflammation, that feeds cancer, that it. And I have my own theories on that, which we probably don't have time for today. Versus if I say, okay, every day is happening for me. Even that day in 2024, when I was back in the ER and they told me the cancer had exploded through my cells or through my skeleton, even in that moment, that day was happening for me. That wasn't a punishment. That was me. I have a very ambitious list in this life, and that was redirection that I needed, and I am so thankful for it. Um, and so instead, if I look around and say everything is happening for me, that's what my brain finds. It finds the silver linings, it finds the wisdom, it finds the amazing opportunities of the path. I would not trade the last 6 years I've had for anything. Not all the money in the world, not to live forever in this life. Um, they have had their challenges, no doubt, but the amount of healing, wisdom, joy, and how much I now know myself would, I'm not sure that it would have happened in my old life. So pay attention to your algorithm, both internally and what you're surrounding yourself by. So if you surround yourself with people who are negative, who are hateful, who enjoy the to gossip and suffering of others, that is what your reality gets formed full of. And I understand that it's hard because a lot of times those people who are in our lives, they're important people who we love, right? That's okay. You can put boundaries, you can put distance, and you can still send them love. You don't need to go into their hurricane with them. So pay attention to that algorithm, and be intentional. It's just like if you're in TikTok, I said to my husband probably 8 weeks ago, start searching what you actually want on TikTok because he had a lot of angry, like men are flooded with angry messages that the world isn't working for them. And, we had this conversation where I poked back and said, like, but how isn't the world working for you? Right? Like, you got a wife that loves you, you got a business that's growing, you got a great group of friends, like, so and I said to him, put in search terms of things that are more positive so the algorithm knows that you're interested in it. We have to do the same thing with our lives, like this, like you guys being here today. This is you guys retraining your algorithm to a higher vibration, to more uplifting, positive things. And those small changes will impact for free, will impact every part of your life and every relationship that you model that behavior in. Um,
Words of
yeah.
affirmation, that's what you're talking about.
Hmm.
In the closing, after whatever has been Reiki released, requesting, I am holy.
Yeah.
Not only am I spiritually holy, but whole, HWHOLE. I am holy. I am happy. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am wise. I am perfect. I am whole. I am complete. In the meditation library of Dragonfly, there is an entire recording of words of affirmation.
Mhm.
6 years ago, I couldn't say those things about myself. Absolutely could not say them. But
Yeah.
one day I just sat down and started recording them and I needed to hear them. So I just put it on loop and put it on loop and put it on loop and just let it wash over and realized, oh my gosh, I'm resisting this. I still want to be dipped in bleach and ammonia and not at the same time. Learned that lesson. And So that resource is available. But look in the mirror and say those words of affirmation, whatever they are for you, because you are that.
Well, it's so true. When I look back in my what I call my old life, and again, like I when I talk about my old life, it's not to criticize. I did my best, and I got through just very challenging situations. Um, and so I'm not being critical, but I am being realistic and honest about it. Before cancer and Reiki found me, I couldn't look in the mirror. I couldn't stand the sight of me because I had fallen so far from what I knew was right. And I allowed my first husband, Matt, used to say all the time, you must hate me. And I'd say, like, I've never hated you. I hate me. I hate me for this being my life, for allowing myself to be treated this way, for, like, how did this become? I used to think all the time, how did this become my life? Um, and so if you're sitting there today and you have a hard time looking in the mirror, receiving compliments. And listen, I understand, like it's that part. Some things are one and done. Some things are a healing journey. And so you want to see me squirm, compliment me, right? I'm still healing that, right? And when I feel that squirm now, I gently push back like, no, man, it's okay. You compliment others. And I enjoy complimenting others, allow others to compliment you, right? Um,
And receive the compliment. Like
receive
really
it.
receive it
Yeah.
on a deep cellular level.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. Like, literally, not that it hasn't been that long since somebody giving me a compliment felt like a cat being thrown in a pool, right? Like just like, ah, man, like I, make some, self-depreciating joke and then exit as quickly as I could, right? Um, and when you find yourself doing that, again, like don't get down on yourself. Be curious. Question like you would the person you love most. Geez, Mandy, why do you feel that way? Why are you kinder to everybody else in the world than yourself? Why do you give grace to everybody else but yourself? And then the second part is like pause and listen. If the critic comes up in your brain, like, oh my God, I can't believe you're whining again, right? Silence the critic. Serves no purpose. I grew up in backwoods New Brunswick with not a lot of money. I was never hungry. My parents were so good with money that I never lacked for anything I needed. Um, but we certainly weren't wealthy. And, uh, I grew up spending Sunday watching World Vision. And so I internalized that as a kid is don't complain about anything because you're not starving. You're not in a war-torn country. You're not watching your children starve to death. And it was consistent with what I had learned, right? Not to complain, to just soldier on and work harder, right? And I did. Work, anything can become an addiction. I 100% was a workaholic. I still have those tendencies. If you lived with me on days when I'm struggling, you would see me, I'm like a hummingbird on crack, right? So I'm just all over the place. And my daughter is actually the one that is so good. She's 14. She'll say, she'll just be like, Mom, stop. Like, what are you doing? Right. And one day she actually looked at me and said, Mom, you don't always have to be the one to do the most. You don't always have to be the one to do the most. And I thought, like, holy shit. Like I'm 42 and she's 14 and has, anyway, which is great. Um, So pay attention to how you talk to yourself, I guess is the first part. And then I think the second part too, and what really spurred this whole conversation is pay attention to what you're saying, what you're manifesting. So I realized not that long ago that I was addicted to struggle and that I continuously called in struggle with my words without even realizing it. I would say things like, the universe always brings me just enough. And so the universe was like, "Oh, okay, you want just enough? Okay, we will send you just enough." And it did that through my businesses. It did, and I thought at the time that I was showing my faith that the universe was always going to give me what I need, right? And in the first part, that's what it was. But now I've evolved further and it's time for me to relook at that. And so now I say, the universe always brings me way more than I need. And I know it's going to bring me more. And it does. We are in the middle of moving over our platform to a whole new platform. I spent a ridiculous amount of money on and time on the first model, only to have to accept that it was, the foundation of the original site was fundamentally cracked, and it doesn't make sense to build on a cracked foundation. So I could be super salty about all the money that was spent, or I can be so thankful that I live in such abundance that I could do all of that and still have a house and still have cars and still go on vacation and still have everything. I cannot think about a single thing that I've needed in the last years that I have not gotten. Wow, how lucky am I? So I could even live in a place of gratitude for the abundance that I live in and the opportunities that brings, or I could lament what went wrong. Nothing went wrong. I have grown so much during this process, and what we're creating in the new platform could not have been created 5 years ago because we had not evolved to that as a community, as individuals. Um, so yeah, that you can be addicted to struggle and you can call in what you don't want. Just like talking about your fears, talking about your worries. That is like praying for what you don't want, right? And so the old me used to think, well, I'll pray, I'll talk about what I hope for. Margaret Mary has taught me that don't talk about what you hope for, talk about what you're doing, where you're leading, what you're open to. And then if it feels comfortable, because you always have the right, you come here autonomous, so you get to decide. So if it feels right, you can say, I release the outcomes and know, let the universe guide and direct where I go next. As a recovering control freak, it took me a while to be like, what do you mean I'm not a genius that can make all the plans for everything and have it all orchestrated? What do you mean that there's, um, so it's okay if you're not comfortable with that. It's fine. If you are, um, it's amazing what the universe has lined up for you if you let go of the illusion of control. You know,
And control is an illusion. It
yeah.
it really is.
Yeah, you can influence and you can train your algorithm and all that. But there are too many unknown factors, right? You know, um, yeah,
Well, if I may, um,
please.
early on, somewhere in my training in the last 5 years or so, I actually I know when it was. It was in the spring of 2023 when I was on Mount Karama. I was blessed and fortunate. It was a yucky, blucky day, and I intentionally went to the mountain every single day, and I had the mountain entirely to myself. Did not see a single human being except when I entered and when I exited. Saw lots of animals up there on the mountain, and it was wonderful. But at a certain point, I lay prostrate and prone upon the mountain, and it was a yucky, blucky day. So, of course, I got the place to myself. And I said, I submit and surrender because my life had been struggle. And that's what I had asked for. And as I was descending, the message came in. I will do what you ask, and you have to ask. And I was just like, excuse me? And I knew it was Reiki. Reiki will do what I ask, and I have to ask. And when we're in that lower vibrational survival energy, it's like, oh, you didn't mean it. You don't want it. But thankfully, it's a mountain. It took a while to get down. And I had plenty of time to think about it. And I was like, really, you will do what I ask. I just have to ask. And then I realized I I don't know what to ask for, and I don't know how to ask. And that was the inception of today's conversation. Not, and I studied Latin at Catholic University back in the 80s, I believe. And it's just like, why was I studying Latin? The root of language makes sense now. And understanding. I mean, I get very, very curious and inquisitive with clients. I ask a ton of questions so that I know how to formulate, okay, this is the physical manifestation, this is the mental emotional manifestation of what you're at the effect of. Start pulling on those strings and looking for what is the opposite, where is it rooted in your body, using the Biosen scanning, and then really thinking through. Like originally, I really had to think it through and write it out. But now it just flows because I practice it multiple times a day. And Reiki really blesses, protects, guides, heals, and empowers me. And it taught me how to ask. It taught me what to ask. And, I got a really good life lesson learned last summer. I went for some in-person Reiki training, and someone present had sustained a physical injury. And I was just like, hmm, okay. And I was gobsmacked that they came up and asked for a session, and it was a medical session. And those cost what they cost. And I was humbled, and I was just like, well, okay, I'm not going to resist this. And I did the session, I did all the work, everything was fine, and the result wasn't produced. The injury took a lot longer to heal. And so I went back and I dialogued with Reiki, and you can do that. It is divine, infinite life source. You can dialogue with it. And I asked why. Why didn't, and it said, well, that was the third time that this healing had taken place in 6 weeks. That person needed to slow down, rest, and they wouldn't. And I was just like, oh, I was like, why didn't you tell me? I wouldn't have accepted the assignment. And they said, you didn't ask. And I was just like, oh, uh. But I learned from that. I learned
Well,
is this so that's
well,
what's
and
helpful to you.
it's so true. Like, I look at my own journey with cancer, right? So, January 2021, I'm told, they can't see any of it. I'm great, and then I put one toe into my old life and another toe, and it's like, well, I'll have a Diet Coke when I'm celebrating or when I'm stressed or when I've earned it or when I'm thirsty at all. My daughter always says that it only takes like 2 days for me to go from one Diet Coke to a Costco pack in the back of my car, right? And it's true. I cannot dabble with Diet Coke. Um, it's like alcohol to an alcoholic for me. Um, but like
If I may, if I
mm,
may, Diet Coke is a form of sugar. Alcohol is sugar.
mhm. Dopamine.
We're all addicted to sugar, that dopamine, that brain
Hmm.
impact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, no, listen, I couldn't care less if I ever had another drink of alcohol again. My brain, every restaurant I go into, it's like you should have a Diet Coke. Anyway, but all that to say, one of the things I realized when I found myself in the aftermath of finding out that it had come back and just exploded through my skeleton. And for those who don't know me or haven't heard my story, so I've been diagnosed with terminal cancer since April of 2020. I was very stable in it until last summer. That spring, I'd had just a lot of stressors that I didn't give the respect to that I should have. I went back to old coping mechanisms, and the universe was like, it wasn't a punishment. It was like, oh, okay, she didn't learn, so let's let's bring this lesson back. Um, But one of the things that I realized is that I was actually using Reiki not to heal at that point, but to extend how much work I could do, to feed my kind of need to be overly productive, my outside validation. I was using Reiki and the supplements and the oil I use. I was using all that to push my limits rather than focus on healing. And so I listen, it was a valuable lesson and I'm thankful for it. So as of the last scan, I joke that I look like a Christmas tree. So I've got just little lights everywhere in me to about my knees, which makes sense. It's like the trunk, right? So I have no spots from my knees down. My the scan in 2024 showed, I think they stopped counting at 300, but they're, who knows how many. My last scan was in June and showed improvement, and my other one before that had also showed improvement. So my next scans will be in February. Who knows? Me and my one of my best friends, who's an end of life doctor, she you're right, I shouldn't say that. I'm healing. I know I'm healing. And yeah, I'm healing. Uh
You
she,
are healed.
I am healed. And it's interesting, actually, if I'm honest, I have a little bit of fear around
When you're
healing.
honest, when.
Yeah, I am
If
honest.
implies that, as an
It's,
attorney, you may be honest, you may be not. But
well, it's
when
so
you're
funny.
insightfully straight with yourself,
hmm Well,
yeah,
if I look back to law school, actually, it was like lose the passive voice. And that's actually what I had wrote on the edge of our page is lose that passive voice, right? I hope, maybe, like this year is going to be full of wonderful lessons for me. And that's true for each of you. Whether or not decide to view it that way, that's entirely up to you. This year is happening for me. Every day is happening for me, right? Um, yeah. So pay attention to how you talk about things, how you talk about yourself, how you how you talk about everything in your life. What are you focusing on? Um, and I am somewhat mindful of time. So any other things you want to say, Margaret Mary, before we put them into the energy? I'm not going to use music, so if you want to grab some music in the background, by all means. Um, Anything else you want to say, Margaret Mary, before we?
you know how to reach Amanda and myself. We're here for you.
Yeah.
If you want
And
to go
Mark,
fast, go alone. You want to go together, we'll get there
we'll get
even
yeah.
better. We're here
Yeah.
for you.
Well, and I just say, because I know some of you will probably be rushing off to the rest of your day, totally understand. But Margaret Mary does have all kinds of things in the community calendar. Every Wednesday, she does a Reiki share that's free. You can jump on and just be in community and be in the energy. She has regular community circles, which are like support groups, but with Reiki. She's got classes. She's a wonderful mentor. So if you don't know where to start, if you're feeling inspired, but you don't know what to do next, just keep showing up. Just keep showing up to events, whether they're free or the $20 ones or classes, whatever. Just keep putting yourself in that energy. This meditation will be sent out afterwards. Use it as many times as you feel called to. We do have the meditation library for our memberships. You can get a membership just like a library pass just to it, to the to the library, or you can get a more full meditate membership that has other seats and stuff. And if you don't have any money to start at all, that's okay. Every week we release a new meditation from the meditation library to support you with that. You can listen to that meditation as many times as you need and you'll know when you're done with it. There'll just be something that says, okay, I don't need that one anymore. If you look on YouTube, we've been releasing every week. They're on YouTube. Access them. So if after this you're feeling inspired but you don't know what to do next, just keep showing up. And with that, you guys can turn your cameras off or keep them on. You can lay down. You can do it however you feel called to. I'm going to sit on my feet for this one. And so I'm going to lead it, and Margaret's going to support us all by sending Reiki as well. If you have your symbols, feel free to activate them as well. And I know we have a lot of seasoned experts here, uh, but we also have some new people. So I am going to kind of explain a little bit more as we go into the meditation. So let me just find it here. So this will be a combination of kind of being channeled, but also I have some things that I want to make sure that we get through. Um, we're gonna do in the beginning, we're gonna do what is called box breathing. And what box breathing is really just slowing everything down. So you're gonna breathe in through your nose, you're gonna push it all the way down to your belly, then you're gonna slowly let it out your mouth, and then you're gonna pause for the count of three before you breathe in again. And why we do this, breathing stuff is amazing, and we could do a whole week session on just the how much breathing can, change your life. But what that does at the start of a meditation is it signals to your whole body, to all the systems in there working, that you are safe, that this is a time to rest and recover. And so it allows you to go deeper. It allows you to just really embrace the energy. Now, that doesn't mean you can do it wrong. If you're like, I have absolutely sat through meditations where my brain was in complete chaos, where I was like a squirrel, that squirrel on meth. Um, the energy still works. There has been times where my brain has been so busy with, did I take supper out? What time am I picking up my daughter? It still works. It's really you know, go ahead, Margaret. Oh, did you have something? Raised your hand? Maybe just by accident? No, okay. Um, but yes, so as we get into the meditation, if you're new to all this, just remember you can't do it wrong. You just need to show up. You can be skeptical. You can think that, even if it works, it's all just in your head, the placebo effect. That's okay. That's where I started. It doesn't matter if you are scattered or not. What matters is, do you consent? Because you are a sovereign being here. So you can say, I don't think this is going to work, but I'm okay with it working, and it will work. This is not faith-based, faith-based. Okay. So with that kind of introduction, let's just all take a few seconds to get comfortable. We're not in a hurry. I want you to start by just letting yourself get comfortable. You can be seated or lying down, whatever feels more supportive for your body right now. And as we kind of slow everything down, just remember that this time is for you and about you. Time is needed for you. And if it feels okay, and if you haven't already, just gently close your eyes. I am going to keep my camera on. If at some point you need to make eye contact, just for the reassurance, I'll be here. And if you have any level of Reiki, feel free to call your symbols in now. And if you don't have any Reiki, that's okay. I'll be calling in my Reiki symbols, the community's Reikis, and Margaret Mary will be sending. I call in all Reiki symbols I have now or might ever have, known or unknown, named or unnamed, to guide and lead this meditation, removing my own energy and unhealed ego. Bring in only the purest energy from the highest heavens. Now let's start taking those slow, deep breaths in through your nose for the count of three. Push it all the way down to your belly for the count of three. Then slowly release out through your mouth. When the breath is gone, pause again for the count of three. And I'll do that again. Nice and slow, nothing to hurry for. I say the count of three, but if you feel like doing four or five or some other number, that's okay. Pause. The slow deliberation, that's what's important. This time is about you. So allow yourself to be here, grounded, present, and connected. Make sure your body is comfortable. Just take a second to check in with it again. You're welcome to move at any time during this meditation. And again, there's no wrong way to do this. The Reiki energy will meet you exactly where you're at. If your mind feels busy, the Reiki will still work. If you feel distracted, it will still work. If you feel chaotic inside, it will still work. All that required is your consent. If you're willing to receive Reiki energy, simply think or say quietly to yourself, I allow, or I invite in. Now imagine yourself stepping into a beautiful forest. It's a perfect day, warm sunlight filtering through the trees, with a gentle breeze that keeps you comfortable. You're walking barefoot along a soft, mossy path. Feel how gentle and supportive the earth feels beneath your feet. Your path can be comfortable. As you walk, notice the connection between your body and the ground. Feel the steady, nourishing energy of the earth traveling up through your feet. Allow it to move up through your legs and into every cell in your body and out through your aura. Allow the energy to move through you, and as it does, feel the stress begin to release from your shoulders, your jaw, your chest, or anywhere you tend to hold tension. If you're someone who often holds their breath, just allow it to soften now. Just let yourself settle into the peace and the harmony of this forest. As you continue to walk along the path, notice what grows beside it. Wildflowers, tall grass, bushes that line the way. Each is unique, different shapes, different colors, different ways of growing. Just slow down and appreciate their beauty without comparison, without judgment. Listen now for the sound of birds, joyful, playful, alive. Allow that lightness to enter your body. It is not a luxury, joy, playfulness is a necessity. So allow it to enter your soul, your cells, your aura, your path now. I'm just going to sit here for a minute while we allow this to come in. As we invite in the light of joy and playfulness. We pause because we're making joy and playfulness a priority. What we give attention grows. So allow us, invite in the energy to grow your joy. Invite in playfulness into your day, into your path. If it feels appropriate, ask the energy to release any resistance you have to this idea, or to bring clarity around why it's important. And if you don't know what brings you joy, you can ask for the energy to bring you guidance around that as well, to help you to rediscover your joyfulness. What does your authentic self find joyful? Allow the energy to show you now. And now, if you feel ready, you can continue on down the path. But if you want to remain there, still considering your joy, that's okay too. For those who move down the path, I ask you now to notice the trees. Again, each one is different, some tall and straight, some curvy and twisted, some with branches reaching in unexpected directions. Each tree grew where its seed landed. Each adapted to what it needed to survive. They express their admiration for each tree, for how it adapted, survived, grew, and flourished in the conditions in which it was planted. And now notice that you have no judgment for these trees. You don't criticize the angles, the look, the size, the broken limbs. In the same way, allow yourself to release judgment towards yourself. You grew where you were planted. You did what you needed to do to survive. You don't need to have shame over it. You don't need to have guilt. The universe is so proud of you for getting to this moment, finding yourself listening to this meditation and this energy. Allow yourself to feel that appreciation, that gratitude. Allow that idea to settle into your understanding now. If you're willing to release self-judgment, guilt, or any of that low vibrational energy with low vibrational thoughts, just think I do, or say I do. And feel that Reiki energy gently supporting that release. Notice that the breeze is picking up slightly on your path. And just know that this is a special breeze sent from the highest heaven. It moves through the forest and through you, gently lifting away guilt, shame, or any of the low vibrational thoughts you've been carrying. You don't need them anymore. They serve no purpose in this chapter in your life. So allow the Reiki energy, if it feels right, to release them with thanks and gratitude. Release them. Let the breeze take them away. Feel that warm, beautiful breeze just moving all around you. Release the idea that something is wrong with you. Release the belief that you should be further along than you are. Release the habit of holding your breath through this life. The habit of looking for things to go wrong or planning for things to go wrong. Allow the Reiki energy just to move through and literally blow those off of you. Let that divine breeze in the highest heaven gently and warmly remove those from you. Allow this truth to settle in now. Each day is happening for you, for your soul's growth, for your soul's development. Each day is happening for you, for your soul's growth, for your soul's development. There is no need for shame. There is no need for fear. Now continue walking, lighter and unburdened, leaving all that behind you. Allow it to be absorbed into the earth and transmuted to a higher, lighter vibration of love. As you continue moving through, what does it feel like now to move without that weight of shame, guilt, the other low vibrational energies? Does it feel to be unburdened? It's okay if you still do feel burdened. Return to this repeatedly. If it doesn't all go at once, it will continue to whittle down the more you return to this or other Reiki meditations and services. Now up ahead on your path, the forest opens up and it becomes brighter. For you is a beautiful river, calm, clear, and inviting. You have a deep knowing that this is no ordinary river, but is a sacred river from the highest heaven. The water is pristine, safe, and supportive. You can step into it, you can float, you can swim, you can even breathe beneath the surface. There's nothing to fear here. You can freely explore. As you enter the water, hold this gentle question in your awareness. How good could it be? How good could it be? Let the water wash over you now. Allow Reiki to cleanse away the self-doubt, to release you, literally wash away the limiting beliefs, softening the words you use against yourself, changing your language to that of manifestation, not limitation. Be curious. Let go of the idea that your challenges are a punishment, that you're not worthy. Know instead that these are lessons intentionally placed for your growth. If it feels right, allow those old patterns to dissolve now. We'll pause here as the energy moves through you, through your contracts, your relationship cords, your aura, your timeline, your ancestral line, just to work to just dissolve all those old patterns. You do not have to lament how long it took you to get to this moment. It was all divinely ordered, not a deficiency in you. Release all of that. In its place, invite in wisdom and clarity. Ask the Reiki energy to gently refocus your inner awareness. Look for the lesson. Look for the blessing. To see the opportunity hidden within the challenge. Now think of your daily life, or one area of it, and return to the question, how good could it be? Allow yourself to imagine it without minimizing it, without editing or criticizing it. Just allow yourself to imagine. Boldly imagine how wonderful it would be. If a critical voice tries to interrupt, just ignore it. It serves no purpose and you do not need it now. Just imagine. Feel into the possibility. We're going to stop here for a minute so that you can imagine, or pause here for a minute so you can imagine. You are worthy of good things. They're possible for you. Good things are lined up for you if you accept them. And if you allow the universe to assist and guide you, it will become better than you can imagine. Allow the Reiki energy to release any remaining doubt, any limiting language, any stories that do not serve you. Release any attachment you have to being a victim, or the victim identity. Give yourself credit for being exactly where you're meant to be in this moment. Give yourself the same grace you offer others so freely. And as we start our journey back, inviting confidence. Just have to say or think it. By inviting confidence, or I accept confidence. Invite in certainty of your worth. And allow yourself to receive the gratitude and thanks of the universe, the ascended masters and your spirit guides, your ancestors. They want to thank you for being you, for walking this path, for showing up. There are no mistakes. You are who you are meant to be. Lean into that. Be curious about yourself. And ask the Reiki energy, whenever you need to help you notice your words, to retrain your language, to shift from I hope to I will, from lack to abundance, from hesitation to clarity, from fear to love, focusing on gratitude. And we ask the Reiki energy as we go forward, as each of us goes forward, whether we're listening in real time or later, that the energy helps and assists us to effortlessly name what we want, not what we don't want. Name what you want, not what you don't want. And let that gratitude for your life wash over you. And as we begin to come back, I extend my gratitude as well for you, for this moment, for this community, and for the Reiki energy always available to us. So when you're ready, gently return from this meditation. I encourage you to either sit with your thoughts or write. If you've got to go because we're over time, that's okay too. Just know that you can return to this whenever you need to. As you guys collect yourself, I'm just going to thank everyone for listening, and I'm going to end the recording in case anybody would like to share.